Hello and welcome to my February wrap up. So this month I have got a stack of books next to me to talk to you about. I read 13 books and I'm currently reading 3 books. So today is Sunday the 26th. There's a couple of days left of the month, but I'm not going to finish all 3 of the books that I'm currently reading. I'm going to try and get at least one of them finished, but I'm going to just briefly mention them as well in a minute. So I'm going to just crack straight on, and I'm going to start off with the books that I read for work. So for the books that I read for work, if you didn't know, I work for Tandem Collective. Because they are ones that I am being paid to work on and promote, I'm not going to give you ratings. I'm just going to tell you what they're about. So I'm going to start off with The Running Club by Ali Lowe. This is a sort of domestic murder mystery thriller set in Australia, set in this very posh town called Esperance. Everyone is incredibly rich and someone is murdered. So with this one, there's so many twists, there's so many turns. It's really exciting to try and work out who's done it and can you actually solve the murder before anyone else. Yeah, I'm excited about this one. This one comes out in March. I also read, pop it up here, The Ark. So this one is a sort of, I'm guessing it's a kind of contemporary, almost a bit sci-fi romance. It's about this new dating service called The Ark, which they put you through a week-long kind of real in-depth personality discovery, and then they will match you with one person. You get one match, and that match they guarantee is the one. With that, they guarantee you'll be together in 18 months' time, but they don't guarantee what's going to happen in that 18 months. And it was a really interesting kind of look into I guess kind of like the dating culture of modern day. It's interesting. And then the third one that I read for work is a pop up here, The Beatrice Prophecy. This one is a very cute middle grade about a girl called Beatrice. There's a prophecy made about her and the king wants to kill her. She escapes to some monks who manage to save her. And again, adventure ensues. Very, very cute middle grade, kind of set in medieval times. So those are the ones that I read for work. I'm now going to get into everything else that I read. I realised I haven't brought my notebook or my laptop up, so I don't actually know my exact ratings, so I may be slightly guessing some of my ratings here. But let's start off. So beginning of the month it was Polathon, and I only managed to read 2 books from Polathon. First one was North Child by Edith Patel. This one follows Rose, who was born pointing north, even though her mother insists that she wasn't. To be born pointing north means that you are going to leave home and be an adventurer. Rose ends up getting taken by a white bear to this mysterious castle. There's a sort of almost Beauty and the Beast-esque feeling to the story, where she feels like the bear wasn't always a bear, may have been human. And we end up just following Rose and the bear through, well, they're in the castle for the year, and then also in the Troll Kingdom, as she tries to make sure that she's rescuing the bear and is going to help him. Very cute story. I think I gave this one 4 stars. I liked it. I felt it was too long. It's about 400 pages and it just felt a little bit too long. I also felt it's in that weird kind of crossover of, it's written like a middle grade, but I think it's meant to be a YA. I would have preferred it to have been slightly shorter and written and geared as a middle grade. I think that would have made a better story, personally, but 4 stars. I also read Layla and the Blue Fox by Kieran Millwood Hargrave. This one follows Layla, who is a Syrian refugee. Her mother doesn't live with her. Her mother lives in Norway at the Arctic Research Centre. Layla lives with her aunt and cousin in London. One summer her mother asks her to come and stay with her for the summer. Layla and her mother haven't seen each other for 6 years. And while they're there, they embark on a mission to track Mizo, the blue fox. It's an really cute story about animal migration and climate change, and also with a tale of human migration as well, in terms of things like war and refugees. There was a really nice kind of human element with Layla and her mother, and understanding that relationship and why that relationship wasn't quite as good as it could have been. I gave this one, I think it's about a 3.5, 4-star. I liked it. I preferred Julie and the Shark. Next I read, oh, by the way, these aren't actually in exact order, they're just in the order I've got them here. I read The Pale Dreamer, which is the Bone Season novella, which is at the back of this book. I think it probably was meant to be read after the Bone Season, even though it's a prequel to the Bone Season. I feel like there wasn't quite, you needed to have the basis and the introduction of the characters that are in the Bone Season to understand what was happening in The Pale Dreamer. I have read the Bone Season before, and so I liked The Pale Dreamer, but I gave it 3 stars. It was fine. There wasn't anything wrong with it. It was an okay story, but without having that up to date. And again, I read the Bone Season about 4 years ago, so it's not exactly fresh in my mind. So The Pale Dreamer was nice, but I'm excited now to read the Bone Season and kind of fill those gaps in a little bit. Next I've got Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters. This is the second book in the Percy Jackson series. So in this one, Camp Half-Blood is under attack, and Percy and Annabeth are off on a quest to try and save Grover. They're not meant to be on that quest, but they go anyway. This one I didn't enjoy as much as the first book. I felt like not so much really happened in it. I mean, there was, like always, there was still a lot of action. There was a plot, but it felt like very much it was a filler text to get to what happened at the end of the book, which is going to then progress the overarching plot of the series. So I liked it, but it wasn't my favourite. I think I'll give this one about 3 stars. Next I've got Dear Child by Romy Houseman. I adored this book. This one is a thriller. A woman has escaped from being kidnapped, and a child is with her. And there's then this whole kind of discussion around, is the child her child? Who is she? Is she who she says she is? What's happened in that cabin? Yeah, it is so good. I am still thinking about it. Like I have not stopped thinking about this book. It is incredible. If you liked Room by Emma Donoghue, I think you will like this. If you liked Arcadia by Lauren Groff, I think you'll like this. Or if you just like a really good twisty thriller with super dark characters, give this one a read. 5 stars, loved it. Next up I'll have Artemis Fowl by Owen Colfer. This is the first book in the Artemis Fowl series, and it follows Artemis, who is a 12-year-old criminal genius, and he's decided he's going to rob the fairy people for their pots of gold. So with this one, I liked it. I do quite like this series. I've read a few books from the series, but I'm rereading the full series because I don't think I've read them all. I felt like there were a few bits that just didn't quite make sense. And again, I'm obviously an adult reading middle grade, so there's a lot that, you know, you have got to suspend your disbelief, and there's a lot that children will get out of it that I'm a bit like, no, that wouldn't happen though, would it? For example, things like the fact that no one realises that this kid doesn't go to school and he has effectively no parents or no parental figure. He has a butler who is the child's servant. And again, butler, the servant, does whatever Artemis says, including very dodgy and not safe things. I did like it. I think I gave this one 3.5 stars. Would probably round it up to a 4. It was cute, it was fun. I am excited to read the rest of the series. But yeah, there was a lot of suspension of disbelief in this one. Next I have Beach Read by Emily Henry. So this one I read on audio. I'll be honest, okay, with this one. So I did like it. I think I gave it 4 stars. I liked the story. However, because I read it on audio, I then came to pull the book off my shelf because I own it physically, and I picked it up, looked at the synopsis, and went, no, I didn't read that one. Looked at it, thought, oh, I must have read Book Lovers instead. Picked up that one and was like, no. The synopsis on this is just wrong. Like, the synopsis is not at all what happens in the book. I liked the book. The book is about January, who is grieving for her father. And she finds out that her father had been cheating on her mother. So while she is grieving, she's also quite angry with her father as well, with her father's memory. She goes to this lakeside cabin, I guess, which he owns, and he's left to her. And she meets Gus, who is her next door neighbour. And as it turns out, her arch rival from university, where they were both on the same creative writing course. He's also clearly going through some stuff, and they decide that they are going to swap genres. He's a literary writer, she's a romance writer, and they basically teach each other their genre. I liked it. It was very cute. It was really nice. I liked the fact that the romance actually didn't come in till quite a way through. So there was some really good character development, some really, really good world building, and again, like I said, like character building. And when the romance came in, it did feel very natural. So yeah, I liked it, but don't bother reading the back of this book because it is not what the book is about. This one is a romance following Tara. She is a romance bookstagrammer and believes heavily in romance tropes. She's broken up with her fiance and has decided that there's a Valentine's Gala in sort of 6 months' time. She's decided that for that she is going to, rather than using dating apps and things like that, she's going to go through a list of all of her exes and try and find which one could be her second chance romance. I liked this story. It was very cute. It was absolutely fine. What I wasn't such a fan of is actually Tara herself. She is incredibly irritating. Just the way that she makes every single thing in her life and every single person a trope, to the point where it's just a bit, it's stretching things a little bit. You know, you're at that doesn't fit with what you are trying to make it fit, and it's just a bit irritating. Of course, she has this book. So, for example, and this is very, very petty, she is a bookstagrammer. And she only seems to post lives that she starts with, "Hi romance readers, welcome back to my channel," which isn't a bookstagram thing. That's a vlog opening on YouTube. Like, that's not what a bookstagrammer would do. She also only rereads the same sort of 20 books. She doesn't read anything new, which again, if you're a bookstagrammer, or any kind of book influencer, you kind of read some up-to-date, some current books to be able to recommend, rather than only reading the same 10 books. That's me being very, very picky. But the other thing that did, again, there's a few things that I just found a little bit irritating with her, and I think, to be honest, overall, really what irritated me with this book is that the characters weren't developed enough. For example, Tara is a nurse, but she says she doesn't like nursing, and we never see her doing any work. Well, what was the point of making her a nurse? Like, why not stick her in an office? What was the purpose of that, of having her at work all the time, and you're having scenes where she is in the workplace but never does anything and never talks about it. And I just felt, a lot of the characters, I didn't really understand their motivations. I didn't really understand what they were doing. They all felt very two-dimensional. So I liked it. It is fine. If you want a fun, quick holiday read, I would recommend. It's not the best romance I've ever read, unfortunately. Next we have got The Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshani Chokshi. I adored this book. So this is a very whimsical fairy tale-esque story. We follow the bridegroom who is married to Indigo, and they make an agreement that he cannot ask or find out anything about her past. 3 years into their marriage, they return back to Indigo's childhood home where her aunt lives and is currently dying. And the bridegroom does inadvertently find out some stuff about her past and kind of tries to work out what actually happened in Indigo's past. There is kind of almost a ghostly element where you're sort of not sure what's real and what isn't real. Elements of this reminded me of Rebecca, in that sort of there is a figure who is very prominent, but we don't know who they are, which I really liked. I thought that the writing was similar to, actually I've been saying The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, which is a book I hated, but the writing is absolutely stunning and the writing in this one is just beautiful. It also reminded me of Addie LaRue, just in that kind of whimsical, it feels like a fairy tale, and yeah, beautiful book, highly recommend. I gave it 5 stars. And finally we have got Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare. This is the last book in the Last Hours series, so I can't really tell you very much about what this one is about, but The Last Hours follows the children of Will and Tessa, who we meet in the Infernal Devices. This is set in, I think, like the 1900s, 1910s, the early part of the 20th century. And we're following, well, we're following James and Lucy Herondale, who are Will and Tessa's children, plus their group of friends. And if you follow me on Instagram and you've seen my real review of this one, my main critique with this one, and it's the whole series really, but it really came to the fore in this one, is there are so many characters. Like, our group of core characters is about 11 people. Then you've got secondary characters, which is another group of about 10, tertiary characters, another group of 10, and then you've got background characters. There are probably, without exaggeration, there are at least 50 named characters in here. And that's fine if they are all background characters, in which, I mean, well, it's not actually, that's still far too many. But the problem is that the core group of characters, like I said, is 11. So then, because this is the last in the series, we know there are going to be emotional things happening. It's going to be the climax. There's going to be things that should, you know, really pull on your heartstrings. And when they happened, I just didn't care. Basically because there were so many characters, I'm not connected to any of them. There are none that I really care about. And even in the other Shadowhunter series, so the Infernal Devices, like Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince and Clockwork Princess, I loved the 3 main characters of Will, Tessa and Jem. Absolutely adored them. Even in the Mortal Instruments, where I hated all of the characters, I have felt such strong hatred that there is still this emotional connection. But I just have no connection to the characters in this book because there's so many. You just can't get to know any one of them. So unfortunately, this one didn't live up quite to the other 2. And I think I've given it 4 stars. So those are all of the books that I have read this month. There are 3, like I mentioned, that I'm currently reading that I do just want to give a quick mention to. So I'm currently reading The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. I am 120 pages through. I have no idea what the book is about. Just literally no clue. We're following 3 different characters. We've got Logan, who is a kind of barbarian mercenary. We've got Glocta, who is a disabled torturer. He's an inquisitor. And we have got Luther, I have to check the names here, who is the captain in the army. And he's a bit of a kind of rich boy who's just been handed things and now he's got to actually step up and he's not too happy about it. I'm enjoying it. It is very slow, and like I said, there isn't really any plot at the moment, but I am enjoying it, and I'm reading this one here for Becca's book club for the first Law Along. Secondly, I am reading The Bane Chronicles by Cassandra Clare, Sarah Rees Brennan and Maureen Johnson. I'm about halfway through. So this is 11 short stories about Magnus Bane. I've just been reading this one very, very slowly over the month. Basically been reading like a story in bed every now and then. And I'm enjoying it. They are really cute. It's nice to kind of see, I guess it's nice to build out on the characters that we've met already. So I think we are going in chronological order. So we've met Bane in Peru, which was just ridiculous. We've met Bane in London before the times of the infernal devices. So we met Will Herondale's father again, which is really cute. We've met him again in the infernal devices with when there's Tessa, Jem and Will. We've met him in the world of the last hours with James and Lucy, predominantly James. We're now in New York, and we've met him with Rafael Santiago, who is the vampire in the Mortal Instruments series. Completely forgot the name then. So we are kind of seeming to be going through history and kind of coming up towards modern times, and I'm enjoying it. I am actually just really liking these short stories. They are fun, they're cute. Like I said, I'm just reading this very, very slowly. And the final book that I'm currently reading is Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. So I'm reading this one on audio. I only started it yesterday, so I'm not very far in at all. But I'm liking it. It seems not very much has happened yet so far. So far, Wallace has died, which is literally the first thing that happens in the book. And he has got to the tea cafe. And that's where I'm up to. Like I said, I'm not very far in at all, but I'm liking it. It seems like it's going to be a fun read. I'm probably going to just be listening to that one slowly while I'm doing other stuff. Yeah, it's good. It's a good time. So that was my February wrap up. Let me know if you have read any of the books that I've mentioned below, and what you thought of them. If you have made it this far and you just want to let me know you were here, leave me a book emoji. And I would love it if you could like, subscribe if you would like to, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!